Good morning, Pat.
Hey, good morning, Jason.
How you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. Doing real good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, I've really been looking forward to this one. It was fun thinking about it, and I appreciate you working with the schedule. We rescheduled it last week, and so thanks for that.
Yeah.
So tell me about your coffee, man. You drinking any coffee there?
Yeah, I am. Typically, I'll have like an American coffee with cream in it, but my daughter lived in France for 5 years, and she turned me on to these little coffees.
Yeah.
And then my buddy Paolo, so it's a little espresso single shot.
Nice. That's good.
Oh, yeah, it's good.
That's good. That's good. So you take your coffee Americano. That's great. And then, when did you have your first cup of coffee?
Great question. So my dad started his own tool and die business, metal stamping dies for the automotive industry. He started that back in like 1958.
Up in Michigan, right?
Yeah. Pardon me?
Up in Michigan, right?
Yeah, up in Detroit, Michigan area, right there in the automotive headquarters, right?
The heart of that business, that's right.
Yeah, heart of General Motors, Ford, the big three back then, no longer the big three. But when I was 16, I started working in his shop. And that's, of course, what I learned about coffee. Mostly it was, hey, kid, go make some more coffee. And that's what I learned about non-dairy creamer.
Oh, yeah.
And of course, not drinking coffee before, I guess you all can imagine how much sugar I put in my coffee. But yeah, when I was 16, working in my dad's shop, painting machinery, painting C-clamps and stuff, and certainly making coffee and cleaning the bathrooms, right?
Yeah, as I think the way my wife would say it is would you like some coffee with that sugar?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm a black coffee guy, kind of for the same reason. But in a similar way, it was people taking people's coffee orders. We're both pleasers, right? We like to help people, and I got tired of telling everybody cream and 2 sugars or cream and 1 sugar, or what kind of coffee is it? Is it any good? Do I have to? I was like, you know what? Just serve it to me black. And I just kept doing it until I liked it. And then I started learning. But what's cool about it, it's kind of like whiskey. You start out and you're like, why do people like this? And then you start to taste the nuances. It's a lot of fun. Once your flavor palette gets to that point where you can define those.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah. So tell me about Sandler. Tell me about does your business have its own name, or do you just go by,
Yeah, no, great question. Certainly, my business name and the name of the Sandler business is Sandler Training. But it's a large franchise organization, and I purchased a franchise here in Charlotte about 19 years ago. But I chose to call it just Sandler Training. I guess the analogy would be I wouldn't buy a McDonald's franchise and call it Pat's Burgers. So I wanted to certainly utilize, because back when I bought it, you could call it anything. But yeah, Sandler Training is the name of the company. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
When you and I met, and just so people know, Pat and I worked together for about 6 years, 2000, over 6 years. So 2014, we first met at one of the Onsrud events. You were working with C.R. Onsrud, one of our vendor partners, and you were giving a little presentation, and Pat gave a couple tidbits, and I walked out of the break room after you gave your hints, and I said, and I called a guy right then and did 2 of the suggestions you gave. I did let's pretend, and no, let's close the file, and then it was let's pretend. And after he said no, let's not close the file, I did let's pretend, and sold a dust collector to a guy right there. It was great. He loves that little thing, and he loves that little collector. It's fun to go back on that. Think about that. What's your company's favorite word?
My company's favorite words. I put some thought is because you're sneaky. Said word. That's like not plural. That's word. Right. And so no question. My company's favorite word would be grow. GROW.
That's a good one.
Yeah. I mean, because we're growing or dying as people, and that's our mission statement, is to grow people.
That's a really good word. Is it
training,
anything
coaching,
like,
development company. I can't help people if they're not willing to grow, right? So no, it's grow, Jason. Yeah.
yep, gotta have goals, gotta
Yeah.
have somewhere you want to grow.
Yeah.
And your favorite word, is yours any different?
Yeah, no, that was a good one too. Yeah, it's definitely different. It ties in, and I did look it up. This is one word. There's a hyphen in it.
Okay.
Self-responsibility.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, yeah, because self-responsibility, it's like, taking responsibility for all aspects of your life that you're in control of. And
That's really good.
yeah, it's almost kind of become a curse because I don't want to be that person making excuses. So it's like, hey, Pat, be self-responsible. Go make it happen. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I read a book, Extreme. I used the word ownership under the same kind of idea.
Same thing. Yeah.
And I told a guy I was interviewing, I was talking to him, and I said, I don't know how it came up, and I said, you should go read Extreme Ownership, and I don't know if you've ever heard of that book. It's really, really good. And the guy's last name has lost me.
Yeah.
And Jocko, anyway. And he goes, I don't really want to be an owner. I was like, you're kind of missing the whole point. It's like, it's taking ownership of, blank, your role as a dad, whatever it is,
Yeah.
It's good. It's good.
Yeah.
So, what does a great day look like for you at your company?
Good. So kind of getting back to that self-responsibility thing, right? Extreme ownership is, in order for us to have a great day at our company, first we have to have done all the planning. And when we look at our plan, okay, what are the, we call them behaviors that the person in the mirror needs to get done and say, man, I had an awesome day. So to answer your question would be, completing our minimum daily behaviors. And it's I know you asked for the company, but we like to look at it professionally and personally. So
Sure.
Yeah, so like professionally, it's 10-2-1, 10 proactive prospecting calls, attempts,
Okay.
two quality conversations, from those 10 attempts, and then certainly one qualified meeting with the person who's excited to talk to me. They want to invite me into their world. So yeah, 10-2-1, and then I'm only in control of the 10 though, right, Jason?
Sure.
I can only control the 10. So, but that's kind of what I shoot for.
That's the difference between good and great, right? Like
Yeah.
I said, a great day is you get those results out of those attempts.
Yeah.
So that's good.
But I can control those 10, can I? Right.
That's right.
And then personally, because I have put on the COVID-19, full disclosure, 19 pounds. And so 60 minutes of, my heart rate in the fat burn or the cardio burn, 60 minutes a day.
Oh, that's good.
Could be a walk, could be a bike ride, but I think, if I'm having a good day, certainly company day and stuff, that'd be awesome.
What's your favorite way to spend those 60 minutes?
Probably bicycling.
Alone or with Karen or?
I would say alone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love riding with family and stuff, but one thing's tough whenever you ride with a group is you're not all going to have the same pace.
Sure.
And certainly bicycling is sometimes good alone time too for clearing the brain. And hopefully I'm riding up some hills. When you're on a bicycle going up a hill, you have no choice but for your heart rate to get cranking and to break a sweat, right?
Oh man, I love getting on hills on my, I know I don't do the outside biking as much as you do. But I love standing up in the bike. Just sitting is just not very comfortable. So the hills, you get up, you get up.
Yeah, right.
And
you're cranking. You're cranking.
Yeah, it's the way it works.
For sure.
So your role in the manufacturing world, we know that you have a family history in the manufacturing world with the tool and die business you were just referencing.
Yeah.
And I met you because you were working with C.R. Andrew, one of our country's, largest CNC router manufacturers and machining centers. And then so you've worked with manufacturers and and with us now as well for going on 4 years. So, and we do appreciate that, by the way. Thank you. You've been a great resource.
Appreciate you guys, right?
Yeah.
You're trainable.
I appreciate that. And I recommended you a few customers now too. I really think they could, some of them could use your help there too, because I want to see them grow the way you've helped us grow. So you get to see a lot of that. Like in your opinion, you know, where do you think the manufacturing industry is going to go in, say, the next, we've had a lot of change over the last 5 years. Where do you see it going 5 years from now?
Oh man, right? To quote a number of people, right? The future looks really bright.
It does.
It really looks fantastic. You know, again, that self-responsibility, you know, like the world we're in. I mean, there's always something, right? There's we're doing a pandemic now. There's always, you know, recession. There's, you know, some dummies flying to our building. I mean, stuff just happens. We know that. And so it's like, okay, right, that is what it is. How can we turn that lemon into lemonade, right? And, you know, the top two industries in this country that are booming are manufacturing and healthcare. And so as a result of the world pandemic and certainly other things, companies that have thought about taking manufacturing from offshore and bringing it into their backyard, or maybe they're, you know, kind of sourcing out some of their manufacturing. You can see it over and over. I know, Jason, you guys have seen it. You know, manufacturing, people are bringing it into their backyard. Job shops, their businesses have gone boom, right?
Sure.
And so no, it's really good. People are realizing the importance of having all our manufacturing here in our ground. Can I share a quick story?
Absolutely, please do.
Yeah. So, and I want to, you know, shout out to my oldest brother. I'm the youngest of 3 boys. My oldest brother, he bought the business from my dad, and you know, my dad started from the ground up, grew it to a level. Then my oldest brother, you know, he bought it from my dad, no entitlement thing, right? He flat out bought it, and then he just grew that thing tremendously, right? And just, you know, tremendous success. And it's a brutal industry, the tool and die world.
Sure.
And you know, sometimes they would source overseas in order to compete, right? Because if you've done business with the big 3 automakers, it can be pretty brutal sometimes, like reverse auctions and those things. And so sometimes they get forced into a price war, and as a result, stuff goes offshore. And it's, oh my gosh, you talk about the problem, you know, different cultures, different languages. Companies think they have communication issues, you know, within their own company. Imagine communications issues when you're overseas in a different culture. And so I think they recognize that, hold on a second. And so did, you know, the automakers. Is like, wait, maybe we should be going after a low price. And so they're realizing that, hey, all things considered, it's better. It costs us less money, everybody. We can do a better job for our customers if we're manufacturing right here in our backyard, right? Our own culture, our own language, et cetera, those kinds of things.
Sure.
Yep.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
I do think that's something I see a lot happening. Just 2 months ago, I got a call from a company that I'd been reaching out to for years, just saying, hey, are you ready to vertically integrate? And it was always about control of your own destiny and that type of stuff. And I got a really neat call from them. It said, and I was like, oh, look, man, you guys finally ready, right? Like, I was really excited when I saw their contact come across. And I said, they must finally be ready. And then I got on the phone with them, and like, well, we're not ready to start our own. We just want local resources. And I was like, that works too. You know, like, let's bring it back over here, and then we can. And so it was, it's good. I do see that as, and there's going to be, the job shops right now are going crazy.
Oh, they are. And there's certainly a lot of economic development incentives and everything for people to be growing businesses. I mean, come on, people. Right? I mean, Jason, you know, why do you think overseas headquarter companies are moving their manufacturing here to the States? Put the manufacturing as close to the consumer as you can. It's not rocket science.
It's not. It's
right.
Not. That's a good point.
So no, it's good. Looks good.
Tell me what you do. I know what you do for us, so I can tell people that all day long. You tell me what you believe it is you do. Who are your customers, and what do you do for them?
No, appreciate that question. It's something that I end up making more complicated than it really is. We know that sales is the lifeblood for companies. The old adage, nothing happens until something's sold, right? And so Sandler exists to focus on companies' sales efforts, right? Okay. Everything that goes into that, from, you know, the marketing to hiring the right salespeople to being good sales leaders. So, and putting in, systematic process. And kind of, if you think about manufacturing, Jason, you guys want to make sure, all your customers want to make sure they're manufacturing your widgets as effectively, as efficiently as possible.
Sure.
Maybe as lean as possible, right?
Sure.
We'll look at Sandler as making sure that we're selling as effectively, as efficiently, as lean as possible. And so, doing a better job of qualifying opportunities, giving companies a systematic process so that everybody in the team is following, like, one playbook for the whole team. So getting companies to realize, hey, you need to focus more resources into sales, and we provide those resources for them, from sales leadership all the way to the sales process, basically so they can be more profitable from a sales standpoint.
That's good.
And I'm the owner, right? You guys asking my role.
Sure. And what's your, what do you think is your secret to your success there?
I'd say my secret to my success is the Sandler network. We call it the Sandler family. So I mentioned there's about 260 of us globally, franchise owners.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. Different countries, different languages. And Jason, I think you might see in some of your manufacturing inner circle people, it's a tight family. And so when I'm having problems, and I have other Sandler owners and the home office, just tremendous resources. So that would be the key to success, is that. And I do work with my wife, and behind every success, you know how that goes, right? So she's huge, right, in what I do, as you know, right? But certainly,
and my wife corrected me a while back, said beside every, and I was like, oh, because you're saying behind.
Right. Yeah. Here, how about this one? Everybody knows, 3 steps in front of me is my wife.
Right? My wife.
Yeah.
That's right.
As I'm trying to keep up with
I
her.
don't get lost. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
Yeah. So, and just and just Sandler too is a good brand, and they do have a good approach, right, to make sure no one sounds like a salesperson, just being disarmingly honest in that sales process.
Sure. And, we were just with a customer a couple weeks ago. I can't remember if we showed you the video yet or not. We did an interview with them, and they were talking about working with Quis, and they said that we asked the right questions, right?
Yeah.
And the questions they didn't even know they were supposed to be asking, and
cool.
that they were supposed to be thinking about. And I thought, like, and when then later they told me they were having some issues with sales, I was like, part of the reason why I asked those good questions is because of Pat. So you might want to give him a call. So that's I appreciate it. Really does. It feels from a personal standpoint, and I was going to save this for the end, but I'll go ahead and mention is, like, from a personal standpoint, it's something I never thought I would be doing, would be recommending the person who's helping me be a better good salesperson, the person who's helping me be a better consultant, be a better resource to my customers, that I'd be referring my sales trainer, and to use the old adage, as to my customers.
Right.
It's like, well, here's my magician that I use to, it's not like that. And that's what I love about Sandler, and in particular you, is that I'm not doing that. I'm saying this guy has made my quality of life better. This guy's made my family's quality of life better because I'm home more, and he's helping me be better for my customers so I can be more efficient in my time with them. So it's better for their quality of life too. And so why wouldn't I refer you to them? Because I want them to grow. I want them to be better. So it's something I've always appreciated about you. So thank you for that. I do mean that. When you think about, like, the industry, are there certain numbers, like we use the term KPI, which I know you hate industry jargon, so key performance.
No, it's okay.
Sorry, no, it's okay. Metrics that, things that are out there, you go, oh, look, the where things are at number wise, and that says, okay, well, they're looking good, things are looking up. Or are there numbers that you all pay attention to on your side?
Yeah, I mean, I'll address that from a Sandler standpoint, but also take a stab at some of the manufacturing stuff, right? Because I am that outside person looking in. So from a Sandler standpoint, some of the numbers we look at would be really economy, whether it's swinging up or swinging down. So some of the numbers we'll look at is like when people were having selling or business issues with the pandemic, that was a really good thing for Sandler because they had to fine tune and hone their selling skills, right? They had to really work hard at, all right, the analogy is fishing, all right, really pay attention to what color lure, how I work my lure, all that stuff to really catch that fish because they're few and far in between, but they're still out there. So that would help us, right? Is really where maybe the fish were just jumping in the boat for some companies before. Now they have to go out and actually learn how to fish. And so they're like, hey, Pat, help. So that's certainly good for us. Now, on the flip side, when the economy is doing well, the same kind of thing is, because, your sales force only has so much capacity. So if a bunch of people are raising their hand, how do we quickly, disqualify and qualify who we should be spending time with? So really, in the Sandler world, we're kind of fortunate. Companies always have to be selling effectively, efficiently, and that can really have impacts both in an up economy and a down economy. Right?
Yeah, that's a good way of looking at it.
Yeah.
It's a good way of looking at it. I hadn't really thought about that. Plus, there's more competition too. You think about an up economy, you got more competition.
So many things. It really does. People wonder, hey, Pat, how do we differentiate ourselves in an up economy? Those kinds of things. And up economy, how do I hire good salespeople? How do I lead good salespeople? Hey, I want to make sure my salespeople or my team, they don't leave me. How do I make sure they love it here? How can I be a great leader? So all those things are really key.
Yeah, that's good. Speaking of trying to get through a lot of people, like, trying to reach a lot of people, I know automation, I know there's some versions of automation in your industry. What kind of reputation does automation have in the, in your industry? I mean, obviously we all hate the robo dollars, right? So that would be a version of automation in your industry. That's not one that you recommend. I know you steered all of us clear of that, but what kind of reputation does automation have?
No, it's had a big impact. In the automation, if you look back, certainly, if you can go back kind of like internet stuff, right? How that's impacted online learning, right? And then it's kind of interesting. I was looking at your question as far as automation. Online learning tools from an automation standpoint have always been there, okay? But people weren't really open to using them, right? They're like, hey, in-person is the best in a classroom. And then when the pandemic hit, we were forced into, like what we're doing right now, remote. And so what before was not a norm is now a norm. And so that technology has become so much, a much larger player in what we do in, online training and coaching and development. It's had a big impact for the better, right? Like we're doing right now, click, click, click. It doesn't matter where we're located. We can be impactful and have a really good conversation. So I would just say, the technology, right? This thing, because we can do Zoom meetings and stuff right on this. It doesn't matter. So big impact there.
It really has. It really has. I've been starting to take that question out because I was like, because everybody's going to say mobile phone because it's pretty clear the last 20 years, So when you think about in our side, and I know you see it because of the people you work with, there's a pretty big growing concern for labor skills, the gap in skilled labor, right? Just getting somebody who you can barely make sure they get there on time to work to be able to run this $250,000 machine, right? Or help you design a new piece of furniture when they don't, really have that much experience in it. They're young and interested, but you've helped us a lot with our HR stuff in terms of recruitment, in terms of getting the right people in terms of, I know this is kind of at a minimum, a hobby for you, but something you're really gifted at is helping people match with the right, with the right candidates. What would you like to see your customers, people like me, people like Ansrud, people like,
my brother is tool and die business, right?
Yeah. Your brother. Yeah. How would you like to see them? What are some things some advice you could give them if they said, hey, we're struggling with this. How do we find good help?
Yeah. Well, first of all, let me ask you, Jason, and anybody else that's listening to this, is what you guys do in the manufacturing world, is it cool stuff?
Very.
It is. It's like very cool. I mean, it is so much better than sitting behind a desk and doing accounting and stuff. Hey, nothing against accountants. We have to have you people out there. But I mean,
yep. And they think that's cool, and that's good for them. Right?
Yeah, doing stuff with your hands. You know, like the tool and die world. I mean, that is so freaking cool. I mean, if you've never been in a tool and die shop where they take these blocks of steel and then turn it into this machine that stamps out metal parts, you know, it's just like, it is really cool. So to answer your question, it's the responsibility of the industry leaders, respectively, to maybe one, if you're getting old, set your ego aside, step aside, and let someone else step in those leadership roles, okay? So that those industry leaders, they can relate there's not such a big generation gap. You mentioned skills gap. A big problem in the skills gap in manufacturing is the generation gap.
Sure.
Okay, it really is. And Jason, you are actually on the young side in your industry. Okay, sure. and we've talked about that. Sure. And so showing high schoolers and up how cool your industry is. It's not, you know, when I tool and die, drill press, you know, chips flying everywhere, oil hitting me everywhere, wearing an apron, you know, versus now where you got to be a technical person, you know, like I live in the NASCAR world. If you go into a NASCAR shop, it's like a museum, super clean, right? Not oil anywhere. And it's like, oh my God, all these machines doing this really cool stuff. So I don't think people really know what manufacturing is these days. And I think it's the responsibility of business leaders, industry leaders, to take that to the forefront and say, hey, it's not all about the 3 R's, okay? It's not all about being a bookworm, and I wasn't, okay, right? Yeah. You know, I ended up being a programmer, right? Because I'm an engineer at heart, and certainly, you know, that gene in the Heidrich family. But it's the responsibility of the business leaders, the industry leaders, to show people how cool it is. Just like Google is cool, Apple is cool, manufacturing is cool. Oh, by the way, Apple wouldn't exist without manufacturing. Hey, what do you guys do at your manufacturing? I can't really tell you, but there's a new Apple product coming out and we're manufacturing it. So that's my answer, is really show the upcoming kids, high schoolers, how cool your industry is. And then the other piece is the aging people in your industry, turn them into mentors, okay? Sure. Don't have them be carrying the leading flag because it's not their time anymore. I'm sorry, it just isn't, okay? Sure. And there's a time and a place to move in that mentorship role and help bring up those younger people.
That's a good point. That's a real good point. Sounds like you love your job. But what profession would you attempt other than your own? Would you go back and say, I'd like to try this one?
Yeah, teaching at the university level.
What, teaching at the university level?
Teaching at the university level, or even high school level.
That's cool.
You know, you say I'm passionate about my job. I love teaching, skill transfer, and I really, as you may have sensed, I like working with younger adults because I know, right? Us mentors need to influence the younger adults to have a successful future in this world.
Your daughter's a teacher, right?
Yeah. She just got a job teaching English at the 12th grade level. And awesome. She taught in France for the last 5 years, teaching English to French science students. Yeah.
I can just see you sitting at the dinner table picking her brain about how much fun it is. So I'm sure she loves that. What historical figure do you most identify with? And this is a series of questions we have here at the end that we're going to ask everybody, you know, just kind of to have fun with it. And I'm a big fan of Inside the Screen Actors Guild, the Screen Actors Studio, and I love that James Lipton always used to do those questions at the end. So
that's kind of cool.
Let's see, what historical figure do you most identify with?
All right, so these are not well-known historical figures. We're going to give you two. Okay. My grandfather and my father, right? So my grandfather came over from Germany at 13 years old on his own.
By himself?
Yeah, to Detroit.
Wow.
Learning the automotive trade skill set, became a tool and die maker, started his own tool and die shop.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
really cool.
Heidrich Tool and Die. Okay.
That's really cool.
Right. We talk about self-responsibility, right? Very successful man from a business standpoint, right? And in my dad and him, I don't think they got along. They didn't necessarily see eye to eye. Anyways, my dad's like, I don't want anything to do with your tool and die business. I'm going off on my own. And my dad did some stuff, and my dad, joined the Navy at 16 years old. Don't tell me this. His mom forged his name because 17 to join, and so he got in the Navy. Got out of the Navy, got his journeyman's card, right, for being a die maker, and went to work for a separate and started his own. He's like, I'm not doing that family business stuff. I'm doing it on my own.
That's pretty cool.
And so that makes my dad a real hero for me as a historical figure. Well, then I realized I did the same thing. And I told you I'm the youngest of 3 boys. And my oldest brother bought the business from my dad, and very successful what he did with the business, quadrupled it. I don't know how many more times he made it bigger, right? Very, real successful. And I can remember the family meeting where they invited me. I was living in New Jersey. They flew me back to Michigan. Hey, Pat, do you want to be part of the family business? We could use your computer skills. And I said, no, thank you. Right. So I was like, I want to be part of the family business for a lot of reasons, and which we don't have time for. And, I got tired of the programming gig. And then, when I was about 19 years ago, I started over and bought this Sandler business. And I was like, that's a lot like my dad. It's kind of cool, right?
That is cool.
So,
yeah. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. What is your greatest extravagance?
My greatest extravagance. Greatest extravagance. Man, that is a really good question. I do have a $250 bottle of Blue Label.
Nice.
Right.
That's good. Yep.
Yeah, that's pretty good. And then my next bicycle will cost over $3,000. That might seem extravagant to some people, but I think for the most part, not real extravagant. I do enjoy traveling, snow skiing in Colorado, but
yeah, that's good.
Kind of extravagant. Jason, probably, right? I think you've had brown liquor with me before.
Oh yeah. Yeah, we've shared a few.
It's one thing that $250 bottle, it lasts a long time, right?
It does. It does. Yeah. It does. You take your time. You have to wait for those great moments for that.
Yeah.
That's a good one. That's a really good bottle. I got a great story I'll tell you about later. Which talent would you most like to have?
To be brutally organized and be able to take all these creative, crazy ideas I have in my head and put them on a track to run on. That'd be an incredible skill.
That would be an incredible skill. You figured that one. You found the management, you found the Merlin to give you that one. You send them my way when you're done. That's a good one.
And I want to put go ahead, Jason.
I call it my Tesla life. I say, I want my Tesla life. I have this vision of the way I'm going to get into my Tesla. And I don't have a Tesla yet, but I will soon.
Yeah.
And I want, I know exactly which suitcase I have, what's in it. I know what my briefcase looks like, how light it is, how lean it is. I take a call, I get out of the meeting, I sit in the Tesla. Here's how I take my notes for the meeting. Here's how I do my follow-up. And I know what you mean. It's a vision. It's a work in progress.
I really respect people that have that skill.
Yeah, me too. Me too. What fuels you creatively?
Pressure.
That's good. That's good.
It does.
We're a lot alike in that regard.
Yeah, no, I finally have I'm my best. I might have a training class at 8:30 in the morning. Well, my best ideas are 7 o'clock in the shower. I have finally come to terms. That's how Pat Heidrich works. It's just how I work. I'm not gonna have my classes and organize for a meeting, 3 days ahead of time, a day ahead of time. And it's probably best observed in my personal life is if we're going on a trip, maybe an extravagant trip, right? Mm-hmm. Extravagant. I did a riverboat cruise, from Paris to Normandy and back on the Seine, right? Well, when do you think I was packing for that trip? Like the day before.
Sure.
My wife is all organized, 4 days beforehand.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty natural. I think the other part of it is that you're better at that because of what you've been through, like getting ready for your classes. There
Yeah.
was probably a point where had you shot from the hip, you know, you're 6 months into this franchise, it probably wouldn't have come across as professional. You probably would have
Yeah.
been a little rough. You know, now you've reached that point where you've heard those questions enough. You've seen it enough. Not to say there's nothing new. There's always something new out there, some new twist, some new take, some new person.
Yeah.
You know, but I think you have that skill set that you can now. You've got that tool bag that you can draw upon, and you're ready to go. You know.
Yeah.
That's
No, it's
good.
good. And Jason, I even say that if I was like this, if I had every class, like let's say, you know, I've been in this business 19 years. Let's say I had, you know, like 10 years ago, I had every class outlined, like do this, say this, do this, say this. Jason, you know me well enough. Would my classes be worse or better?
No, they wouldn't have been horrible because you wouldn't be there. You probably
Yeah.
would quit.
There'd be no creativity. Nothing
Yeah.
would change, you know?
Sure. Yeah.
So for those that do last minute stuff under pressure, it's a gift. It really is.
Yeah.
Creativity. Yeah.
So I'll finish with this. This is my favorite question. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
Bring tears to my eyes here, right? Dad. So I put some thought into this and I got it. He would say, welcome to heaven, Pat. There's a bunch of loved ones here that want to talk to you.
That's good.
Right? 'Cause I lost my dad last month, July 8th, but you know, just my dad, just all those loved ones that we all have, right? They're like, hey, Pat, you know, just hugs and stuff. And it's like, whoa.
That's pretty
But
cool.
that first line was welcome to heaven. That was because you said at the pearly gates. You didn't say, you know, on the other side of the. So number one, I want to hear welcome to heaven. That's first.
That's right.
And then
That's right.
as part of that sentence, hey, there's a bunch of loved ones here that I think you'd like to have a conversation with.
That's good. I like that. That's good. It's good paying attention to the details there, Pat.
Yeah,
That's really good.
exactly.
That's good.
I am a detail guy. That's a gift, right?
You are. I love that about you. Well, man, it's been really a pleasure speaking with you, Pat. And again, I can't tell you what you mean to our company, and you're a friend to me and my family, and appreciate that, and thank you.
Oh, you're welcome, Jason. Thanks for having me. And likewise, if I could wave a magic wand and all my clients had your commitment and trainability and stuff and the connection, man, life would be so much nicer.
Thanks, Pat.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it, man.